All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I'm glad that you can come today. I'm Ashwini. I'm a JSPF mentor, and I'm going to be holding this session for you about the project. So first off, please do enter your names and roll numbers in the chat. Thank you. And once you do that, before we start the session, I just wanted to have a quick word with you. Do have pen and paper ready because we're going to be using it a lot. And yeah, it's going to be a fun session with a lot of interaction and activity. So I hope you get to learn a lot and have fun as well. So do keep your pen and paper ready. And yeah, if you have any questions at any point, do jump in. I hope I get a lot of questions from you guys. Please don't think about whether or not your question is good. I'm sure if you have a doubt, a lot of other people have the same doubt in mind. So do jump in. Yep. And yeah, if I am going too fast or too slow, do let me know. Yeah. You can either just call out or yeah, use your reactions. And if something isn't working, do let me know. Yeah. All right. Let me set up the presentation. All right. Do you guys see my slide? Do you? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So today's session is going to be about projects. A lot of you, especially the ones who are working on the application for the Jitesh Raj Scholarship, they have to work on a project for 4 weeks and then submit a one-page abstract at the end. And a lot of you have asked me this question about what a project actually is and how do you get started, how do you create a project, etc., etc. So I wanted to have this session where I basically let you know what exactly a project is and how you can create a project from scratch, whether it's something you do at an institution with a professor or a company, or it's something you just make up on your own at home. It's fine. This will apply to all of your projects. So I hope this clears some of your doubts at least. And yeah, let's move on. Yes. So this is sort of what awaits you today. So we're going to start with ideation about your project topic, what methodology you can use, how you can go about your project, basically generating ideas, fun ideas for projects. And then we'll move on to planning your project, how you can actually make it happen, your scheduling, your inventory, how you can practically plan your way ahead for your project. And then we'll move on to how you can actually execute the project, some common pitfalls that you can avoid, and I'll tell you how you can avoid them. And then the fourth part will be about writing, because you have to submit your abstract, and this part is really important because it's the one that you'll be submitting to us. It's the one that's going to tell us what you worked on, what your project was about. So this is the session is roughly divided into 4 parts, and all of these will be quite different and will tell you. different parts of your brain. So it'll be a nice all-round workout for you guys. There will be a lot of activities thrown in, and there will be some breathers and breaks. So you can chill, relax, and hope you have a fun session. A little bit about me. I am Ashwini. I graduated from NIT Trichy in 2017 from Civil Department. And then I went on to do my master's in environmental science from TU Delft in the Netherlands. And right now I work as a sea turtle researcher at an NGO called Dakshin Foundation. And I carry out my research at the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. Apart from this, I also really like writing, especially science writing. So I do freelance writing as well. At the moment, I do it for project biology. And apart from that, I also have my own science blog called Science Plus Plus. And I have another just general blog where I throw in anything I want. It's called The Imaginist. And among other things, I do a fortnightly newsletter called Goose News. Yeah. So let's get started. First off, what is a project? It's basically something that makes you a discoverer or an inventor. So basically, you set an objective, maybe to solve a particular problem or to discover the answer to a research question. And at the end, you make a discovery or an invention of some sort. Yep. So some examples. Well, one is, for instance, counting the number of penguins on the planet, which will be something that I would like to do a lot. Another example would be to make a clock, for instance, that shows the phases of the moon, which you can say would be quite useful to a werewolf, for instance. So you could make a clock that basically has a period of 28 days, which is actually also the duration of your project. So I guess it'll be useful for you as well. So you can say that a project doesn't really have to be something very formal where you're working on things like electromagnets and muons and whatnot. It can also be some really fun projects like, let's say you want to know how many cats are in your 5 mile radius around you, or you want to figure out I don't know, the best consistency for chocolate or something, or just anything that really interests you and that you're curious about. So at this point, I would like to hear your ideas for projects. So please do jump in and tell me whatever crazy ideas you can think of. The wackier the ideas, the better. They don't have to be practical, don't have to make sense. I just want to get to know what you guys are thinking of. So who wants to go first? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am. Can I?
Yep, go ahead.
Maybe my ideas on project are like, maybe not now. After my graduation, I want to take up some research based on construction materials. I'm from civil department, so
Yep.
I could take up that.
Okay, that's a very good idea. Construction materials, making the perfect materials for construction. That's a very nice idea. Thanks a lot. So who else is next? Anyone? Don't make me call out names. Someone, go ahead. You can either raise your hands to let me know or just jump in. No? All right, so if you're stuck and you're not able to think of ideas, one way to figure out ideas, for instance, you're probably sitting in a room, you could look around your room and look at a specific object and think about what projects you could make with those. For instance, if you see a fan, maybe you could think about the most optimum fan that's that's not noisy, that creates less friction, it's optimum, it's energy efficient, or etc., etc. Just the perfect fan. Or maybe you can uh, think of curtains that you can make holographic projections on and watch movies there, etc., etc. So anything, just look at the objects around you and think about what projects you might do. It doesn't have to be the project that you actually do for the application, just ideas. And if you have any questions, do ask me if something isn't clear. Okay, I am going to call out a name and that person has to give me an idea. So I see the name Jay Raju. Can you tell me what you're thinking about? Jay Raju.
Ma'am, I'm thinking about a doll,
Yeah,
which reminds me Annabelle.
yeah. Okay, so what can you do with a doll?
Miss, when I'm sitting on my chair, I am
Mhm.
thinking about a doll. It is in front of me, so it coming to mind, nothing else.
Okay, so if it's a doll, maybe you can, I don't know, make a smart doll that gives you information about the time, for instance, or yeah, the temperature or pressure or anything like that, right? Can you think of something like that?
Yeah, ma'am, it can be used as translated to by attaching a Google Translator to it.
Perfect. Translated doll. That's an excellent idea. So now that you guys have an idea about what a project is, we're going to go to the next step. So no matter what stage you're in of a project or research, everyone sometimes feels like an idiot, or sometimes they feel out of depth, or they feel like an imposter, they feel they're in the wrong place, or they're too stupid to do this, they're not the right people to do this. So for instance, I know a lot of you guys right now have very nice ideas for projects, but you guys are just not sure if it's good enough. So you're not telling those aloud. So that's okay. Everyone feels this hesitation, and not just you guys, not just the new people, even the experienced scientists have hesitations and insecurities like this. So if you're feeling this way, know that it's normal and you're not alone in this. And maybe you can change that thinking into thinking that you're learning. So, no matter what project you do, you're always going to have to figure out new things, to learn new things. So, it's nice if you can take it positively, because it's always going to be a step out of your comfort zone. So, think about it in a positive manner. And speaking of comfort zone, so when you decide your project idea, you also have to consider how much learning that topic would involve. So, usually, the bigger the step you take outside your comfort zone, the more time it'll take, the more effort it'll take, but that much more learning will also happen in the project, and you'll grow that much, you'll get that much experience. But you also have to consider practical limits like time, for instance. So do think about these things when you decide your project. Yes? So we're going to start with the first part of the project process, which is ideation. So this part involves a lot of creativity, and creativity works best if you're feeling relaxed. Yeah. So just take a deep breath and sit back and just try to do your best. So, one way to get an idea about a project is to think about things that you've been passionate about for a long time, maybe as a kid. Because if you want to work on a topic for 28 days straight, it has to be something that you're passionate about, that you're really interested in. And it might be useful to think about things that you were curious about as a kid, for instance. For me, it would be things like penguins, cats, stars, etc. So each one of you would be curious about different things, and it would be nice if you can think about that for a bit before you start. So you can think about what areas that you're really curious about. So I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I want you to think about things that you were curious about, anything at all. Don't worry about who might judge you. Nobody is going to look up at what you're writing. Just take your paper and pen and just write whatever you can think about that you used to wonder about as a kid. Yeah, is that clear? Do you get what I'm asking you guys to do? Yeah? All right. So I am going to give you 1 minute. All right. I hope you guys had a nice time thinking about your childhood. So, does anyone want to share a few ideas that they thought of? How about Harshit, the Harshit who has a Pluto picture? Can you share what some things that you wrote?
Actually wonder about this universe.
Sorry, about?
This universe, entire universe.
Universe. Oh, okay. So that's already a, yeah, you have some direction about what you're curious about. So thanks a lot. That's a nice answer. So I hope you got some ideas, but even if you didn't, it's okay. We're going to move on to the next way of getting ideas. So when you're wondering what project to do, one thing to think about, of course, is what you already know. It's practical, you can work on it. Another way is to think about what you're curious about, what you want to learn about, what you like. And a third way is to think about what problems society is facing, or the world is facing, or even just your NIT Trichy community is facing. Yeah. So a very ideal project idea might be something that involves all of these. So it'll be something that really zings with you and it motivates you a lot. So we're going to try and come up with an idea like that for you guys. Let me give you, for instance, for me. So these are things I know about. These are things I like. These are things society needs. So it's just, yeah, something that comes up in the middle. But it doesn't have to be as straightforward as this. Maybe you guys, someone knows about coding and you're curious about clouds, for instance. So maybe you can come up with an app that tells you that when you look at a cloud, what type of cloud it is, whether it's a rain cloud or, yeah, etc., something like that. So this way, the advantage with this way is that you can often come up with really creative interdisciplinary projects that you might not otherwise think of. Yeah. And this might also actually be useful for your other essays. For instance, your community essay, your society essay, when you're feeling blank about what kind of projects to work on. Maybe this one will help you. So we're going to try and fill it up for you guys. So the first thing I want you guys is just to write down things that you like, not things that, sorry, things that you know a bit about, yeah, or things that you already know a bit about and what you can actually work on. So I'm going to give you 1 minute and you're going to write down things that you already know about. Yeah, is that clear? Do tell me yes or no. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I just
Yeah.
want to repeat the last sentence you have said.
I
The,
will, yeah.
like you said something to do us now, no, ma'am. Just repeat that all.
Okay, I basically just said I'm going to give you 1 minute and you're going to write things that you know about and yeah, already know about a little bit. Yes? So I'm going to give
Ma'am,
you,
what
yes.
does that mean? Already know about means regarding science.
It can be like skills you have, like, I don't know, maybe you're good at math, for instance, or you know about computers, you know about fans, you know about fridges, you know about cats, you know about clocks, just anything. Yeah, it can be a field of
What do
science.
we know ourselves? Okay. If,
Yes, you
oh,
yourself. Okay, yeah. Thank you for making that clear. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. All right, I'm sure you could all think of a few things that you know about. The next step we're going to take is you're going to write about things you want to get to know about, that you want to explore, for instance, or the universe, for instance, or you want to get to know more about food, the chemistry of food, for instance, or you want to know more about cloud physics, or you want to know more about animals, about wildlife, or climate. Yeah, so I'm going to give you 1 minute again, and you're going to write about things that you want to know or learn about. Yes? All right. So 1 minute. All right. I'm sure this one was also fine. The third one, you need to look outside of yourself and think about problems that world or a society faces or a community around you faces. You can go for big problems like poverty or climate change, or just very simple problems like, I don't know, interaction within a community that's not able to meet on campus, for instance. Yeah. So just think about problems that people around you face. I'm going to give you 1 minute again and just write down everything you can think of. Yes. So 1 minute. All right. So were you guys able to do it? Are there any questions at this point? Or are you guys all fine? Anyone had any? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like while deciding the problem, like what does world need, like I'm not able to get that many points. Like the same, like you told, like global warming. Like I'm not able to think outside of that, like
It's okay. I
poverty or
mean,
like
if you just got 2, 3 ideas, that's also okay for now. I'm sure you can work on it more later on. Right now, 2, 3 ideas are perfectly fine. Yeah. All right. So
yeah, but like
yeah.
how to relate our things that we are good, like if I want to like explore like web development or game development,
Yes.
like how I can go with like the problems that world face in that.
Okay, so we're going to come to that in the next slide. But anyways, for instance, you said you like web development and you also mentioned climate change, right? So maybe just for a simple idea, you could come up with a website that gives people information about climate change. Yeah, that could be something you can do.
Yeah, but like there are like already many websites like that. Like should we like make anything unique like as projects? Like does it count as a project?
It could be, yeah. It can very well be a project if you make a website of your own. Yes. So even if
Thank you.
there are other websites, I'm sure you can think of ways that you can make your own unique into the website. Yeah, there will be something about yours that's unique. Maybe you can make yours that's targeted for students. Yeah, or you can make it in a language that you're comfortable in. So try to find a niche or a particular set of group people who will find your website the most useful. Yeah.
Okay, like my mind doubt was like whether it count as a project. Like,
It does.
that's
It
what.
does. It certainly does. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
the next step is actually what he asked as a doubt. You're going to try and find common areas between the 3 things that you just did and come up with tentative project ideas. They don't have to be perfect. It can just be rough, very broad ideas. Just give it a try. I'm going to give you 1 minute and then we can talk about any problems that you have. Yeah. Do you guys sort of know what I'm asking you to do? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 1 minute. All right. Now you guys can let me know if you had any issues, you have any questions, you had any trouble doing it. So just throw in your questions. Was everyone able to do it? I am going to ask Shri Swatika, were you able to come up with an idea?
I sort of came up with an idea.
Yeah.
It's like because of this quarantine and all, many suffer because of loneliness and mental health is deteriorating and
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And we would all like to explore the world somehow. And if I could make people around the world connect somehow, like not through social media and all,
Yeah.
something more pleasant, like a subtle way, it would be nice.
Okay, that's a really, really nice idea.
So
So
without people judging each other, not showing only our happy sides, something like that.
yeah, that's already quite well thought out. So well done with that. I'm very happy that you guys are coming up with these really creative ideas. So well done with that. So I'm sure you guys are gonna do really well. Does anyone else have any questions, or did anyone face any issues? Nagavalli, were you able to come up with an idea?
Ma'am, actually, I thought of uh, before I thought what I like to explore means actually it may not be possible now because I have interest in making batteries and electric cars. I have some interest in that, ma'am.
Yeah.
But coming to now, I'm not coming to an idea to decide what project I have to do now.
Okay, so for this session, you don't actually have to decide, fix on what you want to do. Just take anything that you feel might be interesting. It doesn't even have to be practical. So just take it and we'll work on it. And then if you don't like it, you can always change it. Yeah. So whatever you have, it's fine. Yeah.
And can we work on some research papers we will be finding in the web also? Can we use some research papers and gather some information?
Okay.
For example, if I want to know about something more about electric cars,
Yeah.
actually the project is not actually mine, ma'am.
Okay.
I just we can collect some information about this electric cars and all from the Google,
Yeah.
from the research papers, referring
Yeah.
some tens or hundreds of research papers, and
Yeah.
implementing, executing some more ideas there and writing some more information about that by our own.
Yeah.
And we can make it as a project, isn't it?
Certainly, yeah. If you're really doing a very thorough literature search, you can definitely, for instance, you can maybe write an essay or a series of essays about what is the current state of uh, your topic and what you might add to it. Yeah. So that would actually make an interesting project. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to that one is not. I don't know that JSPF will accept or not these type of things. That's what I want to know from you.
It will. So if it involves science or etc., for instance, then it's actually a pretty good idea. So as long as you have a specific objective in mind and you're doing a thorough search, it's actually possible. Yeah, we can think about the specifics later on. Do feel free to join a mentor or to just reach out to me with email. But what you're thinking about is actually a good idea. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
All
That's
right.
what I want to know.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks a lot for sharing your ideas, guys. You guys are doing really well. Yeah. Anyone has questions?
Yeah, ma'am. Like I have a doubt. Like
Yeah.
if some like if a project is like does not relate anything to problem that is availing in society, like
Okay.
in the topic of universe, like it doesn't relate to like society problems that are taking place. Like can we do a project on like universe like that?
Okay, definitely. So what I'm doing here is just helping you come up with ideas. All right. So you definitely don't have to think about what society practically wants. All right. So it's a very nice question. So thank you for asking that. I want to make it very clear to all of you guys that you don't necessarily have to follow these ideas or this criteria. Yeah. I'm only really helping you coming up with ideas, but whatever ideas that you can think of, those are valid and do feel free to work on them. Yeah. All right. Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm
thanks.
gonna, yeah, move on to the next part. So you guys are already you've crossed one milestone already. So congrats about that. You've already made a start with your project, and look how quickly you could come up with ideas just in a matter of a few minutes because you focus. Yeah. So think about how much you can actually do in 28 weeks, days, when you could do this much in a few minutes. Yes. So you're all really capable. So let's keep moving on. So in case anyone had trouble coming up with ideas, I've just thrown out a few more sample ideas. So because we're going to be move on to the next parts of the project, it's kind of important that you have at least one tentative idea in mind for the purpose of this session. So if you don't have any idea or if you're feeling confused, feel welcome to take any of these ideas or something similar, and then we can move on ahead. Yeah? All right? I'm just going to give you a few seconds to look at this. Okay, now we move on to the next part. So now that you have a broad topic idea, the next thing you need to do is refine it a bit, make it more specific. All right. So, for instance, counting penguins is a very broad topic, but if you make it specific, like a particular species of penguins in a particular place, it becomes a lot more doable. Similarly, a werewolf clock is basically the clock that shows the phases of the moon. Maybe just make it a bit more specific. So whatever topic you thought of, your next step would be to make it answer a particular question. Yeah. So the ideal way to do this, if you were doing a research project, for instance, would be to look at work that's already been done in your area and try to find a gap, a part of the topic that not much work has been done on, that hasn't been swamped a lot. So you can sort of find a road less traveled. So your project would be something new. So it may or may not be possible. So right now, all I want you to do is think of one specific question or one specific goal that you might work on in your project area. Any questions? Does everyone understand what I'm asking you to do? So this is a bit like choosing the destination for where you're going. So the more precise you make it, the easier it is for you to find. Yeah. So does everyone get what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So I am going to give you 1 minute again to work on your goal. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Did anyone face problems? Or does anyone want to share their answers? Check it. Just bounce your thoughts. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I got an idea.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, as I told the previous one in the beginning, like I want to do some research based on the materials for the construction.
Mhm.
So like okay, I know about that, and I wanted to get into it. And the thing is like the society, which the problems there in the society is like they want something with cheap and best
Yeah,
materials,
yeah,
where other materials of high cost, and where they could modify their houses with those
yeah.
materials. Like it's not always the same structure, they could modify it. So that kind, that's what I have to work on maybe.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Okay, so maybe thinking of cost-effective building materials. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So that's a very nice idea. Thank you, Harshita, for sharing. So you guys are doing really well. So if anyone has any questions, you can ask me, or we can go on to the next step. You guys are doing really well. Yes. Okay. So next step. So now that you sort of have your destination in mind, your goal in mind, you're going to have to think about what route you will take to reach it, meaning what methods you'll use to reach your goal or to solve your problem, to answer your questions. So it can be a tricky thing. It can involve a fair bit of creativity, but a good practice, something to follow, is to always think about more than one way of doing things so that you don't get pigeonholed into one way of thinking, so that you have options to pick from and you pick a right way of doing things. Yes, so I'm going to give you some examples. Yes, so for instance, a clock could be analog, digital, etc., etc. There are different ways of working on this problem. So it's good practice to write down all the methods that you can think of. Anyone has questions? No? Okay. So good practice is to think about all the different methods that you can think of and then pick from one of them. Yeah. The good thing in this also is that in case one way doesn't work out, you always have another way to fall back on. Yes. So I'm going to give you guys
Ma'am,
three. Yeah, go ahead.
the thing is, I know very little about many topics. If I wanna develop an app or a website, I don't know how
Yeah.
to do it, but I want to do it. So what should I do about?
Okay, so you don't have to think about the technical matters right now. You can think about, for instance, what your app will contain. Yeah, not how you'll make it do it, but rather what you want your app to do. There can be many different options for what your app will be like, right? Or what it might look like. So just think about options for any aspect of your app. Yes, whatever you know about.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So just take,
I,
yeah,
I have a doubt.
yeah.
Like regarding project abstract for JSPF, like should we have like any prototype or like should we have any model for it or just the idea with the like proper things for it? Like ideation with the proper mechanisms, like for like
Well,
just to have the analog mechanism or like we should have like a prototype design.
you don't necessarily need to have it. If you can do it, of course, it's really nice because you can mention it in your abstract. So you won't actually get to show us your prototype, but you can talk about it in your abstract. So if you can do it, it's fine. Or if you can't do it, you can only think about the ideas. That's also okay. Just do whatever is possible. All right? Yeah?
And like yeah, thank you. Like for instance, like I asked about like CAD modeling like that,
Hmm?
like or just like we can present a
Yeah,
sketch of
CAD
it
modeling is
by
quite
our
nice.
own.
Actually, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yes. Or if you sketch it, that's also
Thank you,
fine.
ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to give you full solid 3 minutes. Just sit back, think about it. Just write down whatever methods you can come up with. And if anyone has doubts, just throw it in. Yeah. I'm going to start the timer. All right. Did you guys face any problems? Does anyone have any questions in this matter? Or did everyone do fine? I'm going to ask Himanshu. How did you do? Did you face any issues? Himanshu, are you speaking? I can't hear you. Okay, I'm not able to hear you, Himanshu. So maybe you can type out whatever you're saying. Meanwhile, let me ask Veera underscore 57. How did you do? Veera, can you hear me? No? Are the others able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So maybe there are, okay. How about Girish? How did you do?
Not able to find any
Yeah,
alternate
okay.
methods for my topics. I mean, I'm just thinking I should research about the topic, that's all.
All right. So if you were able to do it, it's fine. Otherwise, I'm going to give you 1 more minute just in case. And the ones among you who've already thought about methods can think about which method would be best. Yes? So 1 more minute. All right. So you guys are now done with yet another milestone. And this was a really hard one. So well done. And you guys are doing quite well. And because you've worked so hard so far, I'm going to give you guys a 2 minute break. You can go have a sip of water. You can walk around a bit. If you have any questions, you can ask me as well.
Yeah, ma'am. That's my question, ma'am.
You have a question?
Huh?
Yeah. Go ahead. Pawan, is it? Can you mute your mic maybe if you don't have a question? Yes, thank you. So if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask, or I'm going to ask you guys to sit back, relax, and I'm going to play you some music.
Ma'am? Ma'am, am I audible? Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, do we need to submit the project? Like, do we need to make the project uniquely, or we can develop the already existing project?
You can certainly develop existing projects, yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, most projects you work on will build on other work in some way. Yes. So just make sure if you're building on another person's ideas, just make sure you acknowledge that whatever you're getting from someone else. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And your break. Oops. What did I do? Sorry. Let me just open it up again. Yes. So welcome back to Project Land. And now we're going to the next part of it, which is the planning part. It's going to be less intense than the previous one. So you can relax just a little bit. So the first thing you need to think about now that you know what you want to do is what you're going to need to do your projects, what materials you need to do, what data you need to gather, whose permissions you need to get, or whose advice you might need, whose help you might need, what software you might need to do. So I'm going to give you 1 minute again just to think about what might be your requirements. I want you to put special focus on things that you need from other people, because that will be the things that can cause delays. Yeah. So just give a thought to what you might need. All right. I hope you guys are done. Now we go on to the next part. So the next thing, now that you know what you need, is to think about how you will go about getting what you need and how you actually execute your project, what steps will be needed, etc., etc. So when you look at the project as a whole, it can be quite overwhelming. But if you break it down into tasks, it can become a lot more manageable. So think about it like you have a bottle and you're trying to put in a huge stone inside it, which so it will probably not fit. But if you break it into a lot of pieces, you'll be able to fit it in quite well. Yeah. So similarly, try to break your problem down into parts, and then it'll be a lot more easier for you to solve. So for instance, this will be the rough steps needed for making a clock. And it might be a good idea to break this down even further to make smaller sub-steps, yeah? So that you can make it even easier for yourself to manage it, and then you can work on the parts that you find easier first maybe, and then work on other parts. So similarly, just try to break it up into parts, yeah? So there is an app called Trello, which makes this process a lot easier. I'm going to give you a preview of Trello. So this is what the app looks like. You can, create a list for your project, break it down into smaller parts, and then set separate deadlines for your project, for each task. It's quite important to set your own deadlines, because unless you have a deadline dragon chasing you, you're going to have some issues finding motivation. Yeah. So try to break down your uh, process in your project into parts as much as possible, so you can do it better. Yeah, you can either use an app for it, or a diary, journal, post-its, whatever you can think of. So I'm going to skip this for now, but I do this activity in my mentor office hours as well. So you're welcome to join there. Yeah. For now, I'm going to go to the next slide, which is, now that you've made a plan, a certain plan, it's good practice to also have a backup plan, because no matter what your project is, there will always be some things that don't go in your way, some things that fail, or some things that don't work out, some things that cause delays. So it's important that you guys also think about some backup options. Yes? The next
Yes,
thing,
ma'am.
yeah, thank you. So the next thing you need to think about is how you'll document the process. So you guys are expected to write a one-page abstract, yes? So it's good practice to think about this right from the beginning, how you're going to go about organizing your work, your data, all the references that you go through, for instance. So give a thought to how you're going to do it. Some people, for instance, keep a research diary. So they jot down what progress they make every day. Similarly, maybe you can think of another process that suits you better. And another thing that you need to think about is how you're going to manage your references. I can tell you from experience, it can become very easy to lose track of what references you go through. Sometimes you find something in the beginning of the process where you get ideas from, and then it's very easy to forget where you got an idea. Yes, but you should know that in your process, you are expected to give your references. That is, if you used ideas from somewhere else, or if you use materials from someone else, some other source, you are expected to mention it. Yes. So to keep track of that, it's very important that you manage all the references that you used. Yes. So this is one way that you could mention your citations or your references. You guys, I'm sure, are used to listing out references. So this is just one way that you could do. Showing a number in superscript, and then adding the details below at the end. You should know that your references don't count to your abstract word limit. It can go beyond one page. Yes. So you don't have to worry about how much space it's taking. You can throw in as many references as needed, and there is no specific format or style for doing it. It's more important that you give us all the data, that is the information that is required. So not just your mentioning the website, but for instance, if you get it from a website like Wikipedia, do remember to give the link, for instance. Yes, so the Chicago citation style is just one way of doing it that might be convenient for you to follow, but you're welcome to think of another way of displaying it. Yes. And yes, there are apps for maintaining, specifically for maintaining your references for papers that you use. Zotero and Mendeley are options for doing it, which make it really easy to do it, because you can throw in all of your references in one app, and it also helps you generate citations or references. For instance, if you want to follow Chicago style, you just have to right click on that reference, and it'll give you the citation in the required style that you give. Yeah, and then all you need to do is copy paste. And if you throw in all your references into Zotero, for instance, you can even just generate a whole list of references in whatever style you want. And then all you need to do is copy paste. So in the slides that I'll share with you after this session, I have included one slide that gives you a little bit of instructions how you can manage this in Zotero. Mendeley is also something similar. So I would suggest you guys to use one of these things and yeah, just get used to it, because managing references is something that you're also going to do a lot in future, for instance, in thesis or any other research project you might do, for instance. So it'll be nice if you can think of these things already. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions at this point about citations? No, is it clear? It might be a little bit confusing for you. So, but you will figure it out as you work on it. And if you have more questions, do reach out to us. Yeah. Just be careful about references because it's very important. Yeah. So this is another sample I've given you from a paper online. So it's just to show you the format of how they've mentioned their references. So whichever statement they make, they got ideas or information from another source. They mentioned the numbers there, and then the numbers refer to the references here. So it's a neat way of showing your references, which you might want to follow. It's just a suggestion. Yeah. All right. So you're done with yet another milestone. So congrats to you for that. And yeah, I'm going to give you, because I throw in a lot of information at you, I'm going to give you a 2-minute break again. And if you guys have any questions, do ask me. We're going to have a couple of fun activities after this. So I want your mind to be fresh. So I suggest you move around a bit, get your blood flowing, get a bit active, make your mind fresh, and then come back in 2 minutes. All right, 3, 2, 1, done. I did it again, sorry. All right, I hope you guys are back. So now we're going to move on to the third part, which is going to be a set of fun activities. So I want you guys to be ready. So I'm not going to go into details about what kind of methodology you can follow, because it'll vary a lot depending on what your topic is, what your subject area is. So I would instead focus on things that are common to all projects, some common pitfalls that you can avoid, and basically help you avoid them. Yes? So first thing, it's just a way to get you thinking. You see two penguin types here. One is the big one, that is the emperor penguin. One is the smaller one, that is the Adelie penguin. I want you guys to imagine if these two had a fight, which one would win and why? And I want to hear some answers from you about why you think which one will win. So, who wants to go first? How about Prateek? Can you hear me, Prateek? No?
Hello.
Yeah. You're breaking up
So,
a bit. Yeah. Go on.
am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Go on.
So, I think the smaller penguin will win the fight.
Okay. And why do you think that?
I just thought that this question is we are seeing that the emperor penguin is big in size, but it is against the normal logic, I think.
Okay. So, okay. Who else? Go on.
The
I
small
think
Nagavalli, is it? Go on.
yes. I think the bigger one will win.
Okay. Why do you think
Of
that?
course, by size we can see, and of course, the emperor penguin will not become emperor if it is not having skill.
All right, that's a really interesting answer. So, who else wants to give it a shot? Which penguin will win?
Ma'am, bigger one would win.
Okay, because of
Ma'am,
its
because
size.
yeah, no, it has a very large hand, so it will slap.
Okay, very nice answer. Who else?
Ma'am, I think the smaller one will win because
Okay.
its beak is towards the center of the other bigger penguin, so it will be easier for him to attack. And even if he falls down, it will be easier to wake up because he is lighter.
Okay.
So yes.
That's a very interesting answer. So I'm gonna give you guys a poll, and you can tell me which penguin you think will win. All right, so that's 80-20 to the smaller penguin. That's very, very interesting. So we will come back to this. For now, we move on to the next game. So what I want you guys to do in this is I'm gonna give you a set of statements, and you have to look at them and tell me what's wrong with them. So it's a unique opportunity for you because usually it's professors or parents finding fault with you, but in this case, you get an opportunity to find what's wrong. Yes? So the first one, I'm not looking for grammar errors or language errors, just what's wrong, logically, what's wrong with this statement. Who wants to give it a shot? Just say whatever you're thinking. You guys are quite creative, as I saw with the penguin question. So go ahead, Nagavalli.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I think in my point of view, the year being colder does not mean the global warming is not happening. It may be due to some COVID situation. We have been in lockdown, and that it is reduced, but it's not like that. It's not happening. Maybe reduced. That's maybe.
You're on the right track, But I want you to think about it a little bit deeper. Uh, why is this logically incorrect? Just because this year is colder than last year.
I think this year they are not clearly stated that to a particular region or the country.
Okay. Okay, let's say even if I do state a region, so I say in this region, this year has been colder than the previous year. So in this region, climate change is not happening. Is it correct?
There is certainly climate change happening because the year has become colder. So it could be
Okay.
because global warming is happening, and it could be a reverse effect of global warming. Maybe the glaciers melted, and because of
Okay.
that, we get more rain or
Okay, that's an
snow.
interesting answer. Thank you. So what I'm looking for is a very simple thing that you can't generalize just from one year. So just because this year is colder than last year doesn't mean that there isn't a general trend in an increasing trend in climate change. Yeah, and as you said, right, very rightly said, global warming is of course not just about increasing temperatures. In some places, it can be decreasing as well. So in your projects, just be careful not to generalize too easily from small numbers. Yeah, just be careful and look at the whole picture. The next one, good job. This one, what is wrong with this statement? Or yeah, what's the wrong thinking here? Anyone?
Ma'am, I
Yeah.
think that fully and half doesn't go together like that.
Okay, it's not about that. It's nothing about language. Let's just ignore fully. He's surprised that half of Americans are below average intelligence. So why is it not surprising? I mean, it's not surprising that half of Americans are below average intelligence. So why is that? Clue, is it something to do with statistics?
Half are supposed to be below average.
Exactly. Perfect.
Half.
So that's exactly what the thing is. So by definition, average means that half will be below it and half will be above it. So when you're using statistics, take some time out to actually understand the meaning of what it is, what average is, what median and mode are, what correlation is, etc., etc. So statistics are something that you're going to use a lot in general. Throughout your degree and your thesis, any kind of research, and actually most career paths need some kind of statistics. So really pay attention to your ANOVA tables and etc., etc., and try to gain or remember as much of it as possible. Yes? So good job. Next one.
False assumptions, thinking that they are superior.
Yeah, it is a false assumption. Yes, that is correct.
Or not believing their.
Yeah, so the key thing is that just because one thing happened after another thing doesn't mean that it was caused by the other thing. Yeah, so even in your projects, just because you do something and then something happens, it does not mean that what you did caused the effect. Yes, so cause and effect are different. So try to differentiate the two things and think clearly about these things. Yeah, the next one.
To assume that something exists, one should provide evidence for that and not the other way around.
Yeah, again, perfect, Girish. So just because something has not been proven, uh, has not been false, does not mean that you can actually assume it's true. So think about what can actually be proven and what can't be proven and make your conclusions accordingly. Yes? So the next one, okay, I'm gonna just give you the answer for this one. It's that you shouldn't think in very black and white terms as either everything will go is correct or everything is wrong. Remember that there are always gray areas, and try not to fit your data into your own theories too much. Try to take it as it is and form your conclusions accordingly. Yeah. This one is interesting. So it's a plot of ice cream sales and sunglass sales. And based on this, if someone makes this statement, why is this incorrect?
Ma'am, misleading correlation of different things. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, exactly. So correlation is not the same as causation. Perfect. Good answer. So just because two things that seem a bit related does not mean that one thing causes another or that they are actually related. In this case, you can imagine that if summer happens, then ice cream sales will increase and sunglass sales will increase as well. So it doesn't mean that these two things are actually related. So for your data as well, be very careful in interpreting when you do correlation. Correlation is basically when two things are related. So if you do find two things are related, it does not mean that one thing caused another. Yeah. So, okay. So this is a graph of penguin population with time and saying that the number of penguins increase with time from this graph is wrong. Again, I will just give you the answer because it's easy enough, because you can't just hide data that doesn't fit your conclusions. Yeah. So be very honest with what your data is and make according conclusions. Yeah. So you remember your penguin predictions. Now I'm going to show you who actually won. So I'm going to show you a box with pink and blue squares. Pink, every pink square means that the emperor penguin won a fight, and a blue square means that an Adelie penguin won a fight. So I'm going to show you the square just for a few seconds. And in that, you're going to have to make a guess about which one won more fights. All right. Okay. I hope you had your view. Now I'm going to give you another poll question. Based on what you saw, which one do you think won more fights? Interesting. So you guys again think that the Delhi Penguins won more fights. So let me show you the actual answer. So the actual answer is actually 18-18, which means that both of them won equal number of fights. But do you think it's coincidence that so many of you guys thought that the Delhi Penguins will win more fights? And so you looked at the data and you actually saw, or you thought you saw, that more Delhi Penguins won more fights. Probably not. It's usually because we have a certain bias for the predictions that we ourselves make, because nobody likes to be proven wrong. So be careful about biases of this sort. When you look at your data, be careful that you're not looking at it in a biased way. So just a few pointers. You guys did a great job, by the way. And just a few pointers for avoiding mistakes of this sort. Hypothesis is basically a prediction like you guys were making. So try to make more than one hypothesis. So in this case, for example, if you made one prediction for a Delhi, one hypothesis for a Delhi is one for emperor penguins, you might have avoided the bias. Yeah. So try to follow these things, try to quantify, really check your logical arguments, try to get someone else to look at them, see if they feel a certain way, and just be very careful when you're making your conclusions. Yeah. It's something that comes with time, something that you learn with experience. So just try to consciously think about your biases and work on them. Yeah. So great job. You guys did yet another milestone. Sorry if I'm going a little bit faster, but we've come to the final section now, which is the writing part. And in this section, the thing to remember is the editing is just as important as writing. So be ready to write multiple drafts, to do multiple rounds of editing, so you can make your writing really good. Yeah, don't try to do everything in the first draft. So what exactly you need to include in your abstract? You need to think about the person who's actually going to read your abstract. They don't know what you worked on, anything about your project. So try to make it in a way, mention things that would help them uh, figure out your project. Yeah. So what the purpose was, what you actually did, what you found out, and what your implications are, which roughly means introduction, methods, result, discussions. This is kind of a rough division between these 4 sections, but it'll of course depend on your topic. So think about your project, what's more important there, and then, yeah, really think about, try to get someone else to read it, get their suggestions, do a round of editing, and just try. Yeah. All right. Remember that every project is different. So this is just a rough rule. Yeah. So you can think about what works for your project. This is just a sample abstract that I put for your benefit. You don't have to read it right now, but when you do read it, you'll see that it's roughly divided into 4 parts: introduction, methods, results, etc. It's a fairly well-written abstract, but you have to remember that when you write it, you have to include citations, for instance, yeah? And you'll maybe make it less technical and write it for a person who doesn't know your area much, yes? So this is another thing that you need to keep in mind. Plagiarism is basically copying without giving someone credit. So if you've done copy paste without mentioning references, then that basically is plagiarism. So I suggest you stop those practices, because these are things that can really lead you in trouble. And you should also know that plagiarism can also be unintentional. So even if sometimes you read something a lot earlier on, and then you forget that you got the idea from somewhere else, and then you think it was your own. So it's good practice to actually check for plagiarism. So there are online checks available. Grammarly is just one. So when you write your abstract, you basically just throw it in here, and it'll tell you how much of your abstract it comes from other sources. Yeah. So 15 to 25 is generally a good number. So normally, even if you copied nothing from elsewhere, it'll still show a low percentage. It's because it just picks up random words from here and there. But that's okay. As long as it's under 15 to 25, you're fine. And be very careful with this, because it's a serious matter. Yeah. That's it. That's pretty much most things that are important in projects. And if you do need any help, yeah, do reach out to JSPF or any of your mentors. Reach out to me. Don't let your ego come in your way or any hesitation. Just try to get as much help as you can. Try to get as many different perspectives as you can. Yeah. And this is just a list of references that I've given for your benefit. Do read through it, and yeah, let me know if it helps you. And remember to celebrate your milestones as you go so that you don't get demotivated, just as we did in this session. We celebrated all of your milestones. So be ready to be sure to do it for yourself as well. Take care of your mental health, of your physical health while doing it, and really prioritize your well-being while you're doing it. All right. So that you just have to give your best, and before you know it, you'll be done. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening to all of this. Now, sorry for going a little bit over time, but if you have any questions, you can ask me now. Anyone has any questions? Anyone? Or did you guys understand everything? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, like you said, we have to verify our project status from stage to stage. How is it possible actually? Like we think ourselves as we are right, but how to overcome that?
Sorry, which one are you referring to?
Like while writing or any like analysis.
Yeah.
If the project is actually wrong, but we think it is right, how to verify that by ourselves? Like how to overcome our mindset like we are correct?
Do you have to do it yourself, or can you get someone else to have a look at it? Yeah, you have mentors actually for this purpose. So it might be a good idea if you're not sure about what you've done to just send it to them and get their opinion. Or maybe have some friends who know a bit about this area, or maybe some seniors. Just try to get whatever outside opinion you can, just to check for biases. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Just be free to reach out to the mentors, especially. Be there for you. All right. Who else has questions?
Ma'am, I'm having a question. I have got some ideas for what project I should actually do, but most of them are actually based on existing technology, but re-engineering for a special purpose which hasn't been thought for it. But there are already alternatives to that. So is it fine if we give our idea as a project, or do we need to think of something else, ma'am?
Oh, your idea is perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Who else has questions?
Ma'am, I just want to confirm one thing. That, for example, I was going to make a project regarding some technology. For example, cryogenic technology, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, we cannot make a model now at present.
Yeah. Yes.
But we don't have complete knowledge about that also. Mm-hmm. So then we can use some websites and refer them and know what is it and what new technology can be included in that.
Yeah.
And just like writing that as an abstract, just by knowing them, knowing the technology.
Yeah. So literature's review is actually a kind of research that's done. You'll actually find published papers on literature reviews as well. So that's actually what you're thinking about, and that's perfectly fine. But when you're doing that, try to keep a specific question in mind. Like, for instance, think of a particular scenario in which cryogenic technology might be useful. And then after all your research, maybe suggest which one would be most suitable. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, it's okay if we do like that. For
it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Who else?
Ma'am?
Yeah.
This is my first time attending a JSPF event.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I'm not really sure about, how the mentorship works. And if I do a project, where should I submit the abstract? Should I register for something?
Just a second. So, Shiva, do you have an answer to this question?
Hi, Shri Swatika. So first of all, welcome to JSPF. We're really glad that you've decided to get started on this journey. So first step would be for you to take a look at the website. So I'm just gonna put the website on the chat. It's www.jrscholarship.org. And also there are 2 more mentorship sessions that will happen through this year. So we have 4 mentors who are always there to help out students. Mentors do mentorship session like the one that you're attending right now, as well as they do what is called a mentor office hour, which happens every weekend. So you can sign up for both and ask questions and get your essay drafts, for example, reviewed, or project ideas reviewed, etc. So you can basically make use of all the insights that mentors have to offer. Another thing that you might want to remember is so answering your question about when you should submit your project abstract. So we have a deadline in July when you have to submit the entire application. So you will have to submit your project abstract along with that. But there is also another deadline that's coming up on May 15, which is called the mid-year checkpoint. Now, mid-year checkpoint is a mandatory checkpoint, meaning without completing mid-year checkpoint, you cannot submit your final application. But we will not be assessing what you submit for the mid-year checkpoint, meaning it's not going to affect your chance at whether you win the scholarship at the end or not, etc. So for the mid-year checkpoint, we expect students to submit drafts of 2 essay type requirements. So that includes the 3 essays that we ask you or the project abstract. So you can pick any 2 out of this 4 and you can submit drafts for those so that the mentors can go through it and they will basically give you feedback. This is basically to make sure that you're not waiting till like June, for example, so that you can submit an application in July. We want you to sort of work through it. So so you can make sure that you prepare and submit your drafts for the mid-year checkpoint. So there's a lot of resources available. For example, this particular session has been broadcast on YouTube, so you can have a look at some of the past mentorship sessions to kind of get a sense of what are the different things that you can learn from and things that you can work on. And also after the session, if you will receive an email with some more information about how you can join our WhatsApp group, as well as get our monthly newsletter about the reading list, etc. So does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Right.
All right. So at this point, I just wanted to remind you guys, whoever hasn't mentioned their name and their roll number in the chat, please do so right now. Your name and your roll numbers. And also, I wanted to tell you guys about the JSPF Conclave, which is an event that's going to happen on the 25th of April. So if you haven't registered for it, do please do it, because it's going to be a really nice session. For instance, you're going to have the mentors present, and you're going to all 4 mentors present, and you're going to get to ask them any question you like. Yeah. And you get help. You'll have finalists telling you about their journey, and you get help with essays, etc. It's going to be a fun event. So do please remember to register for the conclave. Yeah. And do remember the mid-year checkpoint as well. It's on May 15, and you need to submit the drafts of 2 essays. So keep these 2 dates in mind. So right now I can take one last question. And after that, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, yeah, or to sign up for a mentor officer, etc. I'll take one last question.
Ma'am, both technical and non-technical projects, I mean, they would be evaluated in the same way, or technical projects would have greater, I mean,
So STEM projects will get a get some preference. Yeah, you're allowed to do any project, but STEM projects will get preference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So with that, I hope you've entered your name and roll number. So thanks a lot for attending this session. I will be sharing the slides with you, and the conclave registration link is there in the chat. So thanks a lot for attending, and I hope you guys gained a lot from it, and I hope to see more of you in future sessions, and I'm looking forward to reading your essays. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.